Still on Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary, members of a non-governmental organization known as Women's Rights Group have used the occasion to call for urgent action against gender-based violence in Nigeria. The campaign tagged Break the Silence, End Gender-Based Violence in Nigeria seeks to create awareness on the need to address issues around abuses against women. The report.
Gathering on Nigerians' anniversary day, the Women's Rights Group is here to condemn the alarming rise in femicide, rape, and gender-based violence in Nigeria. According to the group, statistics are staggering and the stories are heart-wrenching. Victims of sexual and gender-based violence were remembered at the protests. Among them, Uwa Omozuwa, who was brutally murdered in a church in Edo State; Evelyn Ibe, who was stabbed to death by her husband in Abuja; Comfort Ogbu, who was murdered by her husband in Enugu; Bimbo Ogbonna, a victim of domestic violence; Christiana, killed by a family friend who demanded ransom; Barakat, murdered by a stranger; a married woman, raped by a police officer in Lagos while in custody; and a little girl defiled by a police officer in a police station. According to them, these cases are not isolated incidents, but a reflection of a culture of impunity and systematic failure.
We're tired of cases being dragged on. We're asking for justice for the lives of the women who have lost their lives during domestic violence. Using Bimbo Ogbonna as a case study, we're asking for justice for Bimbo Ogbonna. We're also asking for justice for the woman who was arrested at a police station for another case, and in the night, the policeman called her out and raped her in a place where she's supposed to be safe. So what are we asking for? Justice for women.
We should not be hearing that women are seen as praise to be preyed upon by men. That should not be what we should be hearing. This sit-in is a protest to tell the government that there should be adequate funding for women matters, especially when it comes to prosecution. Cases like this, there should be more courts built. Cases like this, which concerns women, should not be left to stagnate. And then eventually the complainant loses interest. And what happens? The perpetrators continue to perpetuate the cycle of abuse.
Although the efforts of the Lagos State government were appreciated, issues such as police departments being underfunded, perpetrators walking freely, women's life not being prioritized, and not enough special courts for sexual offenders were raised. The campaign demanded urgent government action to address gender-based violence, strengthened laws and policies to protect women, increased funding for juvenile and women's centers, family support units, gender offices, and women's shelters and support services.
But if we have enough women in the house, then it will be a different problem. We won't be having problem with gender abuse. These things are human rights. We shouldn't even be demanding for them per se. They are human rights that rights that we own. They're actually trampling on our rights. Constitutionally, these are our rights. Inequality is not allowed in the Constitution of Nigeria. Am I communicating? Huh? Equality.
They called for community education and sensitization programs to challenge harmful gender stereotypes and justice for victims and their families.